Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hey everyone, checking in on the MJ sector. I've been away most of the day and certainly feeling out of the loop, but catching up on things. We had Cgc Earnings reaction, a bullish reaction initially, and a big sell-off from the open. So gap up for selling in that scenario. And also the fact that fundamental traders had a bit of an edge, as a lot of people were very unimpressed with the numbers, and the fact that we were seeing a gap up open didn't make a lot of sense, but it was the bulls exit signal in hindsight, and a bit of a weak close on Cron. I also want to point out how I love technical analysis and how on this channel we have two pretty clear setups that we look at, in the sense that we'll look at technical analysis and we'll say, if this level breaks, yada yada, and if this level breaks, then bullish, something along those lines. And that's, you know, if we're looking at a clear pattern like an equilibrium, we have clearly defined price levels that are the potential buy signals or the red flags if the uptrend levels are broken. But the other kind is when we're just comparing individual names to their peers and we're seeing very clearly names stand out, where we're able to say this name is stronger than everybody else. And it's not a clear line in the sand level breaking that shows us that, but it's just the overall general trend and price action. So some examples of that just in the last week. VFF is one that stands out, and we'll go into our normal technical analysis rundown here in just a second. But VFF has stood out to us for 2 weeks as far as being more bullish than anybody else in the Canadian MJ space. And today they're really just putting the icing on the cake with a huge day. Green Maribozu closed at the high of the day. Needed a close over 12. Bull said, hold my candlestick. And they really followed through with it. So that's been standing out as far as strength goes. We had labs stand out over the weekend. And that's just a tight pattern and knowing the shift in the sector going on. And so I said, I haven't traded labs. I've never traded labs, but just to be able to say this is a tight daily pattern and a break is imminent, and with other names in the sector breaking bullish, we need to be watching labs. And from that close on Friday, we're now up almost 15, 17%. Close at the high of the day, breakout mode here as well. And the past 2 days, TRUL has been giving us red flags. So TRUL lost its support. And really what it was is the daily trend change and no follow through, and the inside bar breaking bearish was a big red flag. I exited some of my position on that bear break, and a ton of bear volume, very notable bear volume. I would expect news with that kind of volume, and this is also the kind of candlestick where if there isn't news, I'd be watching for dilution news or something along those lines tomorrow. We'll see if we get it. But we have earnings coming up for a lot of other individual names, and I'm going to be watching for the potential of run-ups into those earnings, because we've seen, at least initially, bullish reactions to APHA and now Cron. So VFF has earnings coming up. We have an earnings calendar here thanks to JCO. So Labs, Monday, TGOD Tuesday, CWeb, CGC, TRUL, and CL on Wednesday. Big day for the sector. Kira and Hexo on Thursday. ACB, don't know just yet. So VFF's not on here, but I do know that is approaching as well. And need to keep an eye on those earnings, especially if you are in any of those names. So watching for the potential of a run-up into earnings, or at least the day before. And of course how pretty much Wednesday is going to be the most important day next week as far as earnings reactions go. So let's get into our normal technical analysis rundown. CGC unable to break the high of the bounce, 33.32 at this point. We actually broke it by a penny, but that's a double top. So a clear double top, daily exponential resistance remains. Bulls have proven nothing to us. And at this point, we've got a couple support levels, 30.75, 31.63. But unless the bulls get over the daily exponential resistance and see some significant follow through, then the bulls prove nothing to us. At this point, I'm just visually watching the exponential moving averages. Cron, gap up for selling. Here's an example of an oversold bounce play that I made where I just ended up exiting break even because I didn't get a good initial entry. So we saw the all-out dump. The gap to fill was 13.51. So as the 5-minute RSI approached oversold, I looked for an entry down around that gap filling. So that's actually 14.51. I forget what I said. 14.51 was the gap to fill. So I made an initial entry in the 1440s with full intention of scaling in multiple orders. And then once I realized how early I was and we started pulling back a lot harder and the RSI was not dropping as quickly as I was anticipating it would, I remained patient and I didn't make my next entry until $14 broke. So at that point, I entered maybe in the 1380s or so. So my average dropped down to about 1320 or 1420. So at that point I knew, okay, my average is not ideal. This is not going to be a day maker. This is not going to be a week maker. This is me getting in too early and just looking to get out break even. So what I did is on the initial bounce, I exited the first half of my position at 1410. That's below my break even. So 10 cents below my break even, that adds 10 cents to the remainder of my position for what has to be break even. So if it was 1420, now it's 1430, and then I sold the second half at 1430. So what I would have done if that bounce did not hit up to 1430, I would have reloaded that second half under 1367 and dropped that level down again, knowing, or dropped my cost basis down again, knowing that the 5-minute RSI would be extreme and there would be dip buyers to step in after a $2 pullback from the open. So that was my way of managing the position and throwing in the towel and saying, okay, I'm not going to make a solid gain on this trade. Now I'm in preservation mode and need to be conservative to exit with as little a loss as possible. And in the end, break even, no big deal. That was the only trade I made today. So for Cron, it's a significant pullback, obviously. Looking at resistance, short-term 1406 is going to be a key resistance into tomorrow. The daily time frame, anything under 1569 was just a lower high, and we topped out at 1558. So that's just another daily lower high. The bulls are going to have to come down and hold 1270 and break both of those levels in order to change the daily trend with any kind of conviction. That's going to take a lot for the bulls. Right now, they're just going to be looking to put a stop to the bleeding. ACB daily inside bar, we're looking for an hourly trend change for the daily higher low to be set. And the S&P 500 up 1.5% today, essentially, and seeing these names weak like ACB, clearly correlation to the S&P 500 is all over the place in the sector recently. So the hourly time frame, we have our low of 653, higher the bounce of 686, higher low at 659. Bulls have to break 686 to change this hourly trend and get a follow-through move. So hourly trend change is needed for the daily higher low to be established, and the daily trend change is needed for us to believe that these bulls can do anything aside from just a one-day profit-taking spike that we had a couple days ago. So bulls still have the ability to change this daily trend, but they need to turn around that hourly momentum the sooner the better. APHA is in the same boat. We hit the top. Now we're consolidating. No red flags on the volume. That's what the bulls want to see. Declining bear volume. We're looking for an hourly trend change to indicate the daily higher low has been established. So really heading into tomorrow, I would say anything under 706 is just an hourly lower high, and it would be up to the bulls to have to then pull back, hold 656, and then break 706 in order to change the hourly trend and give us the daily higher low. Again, as I've been saying, if we start to pull back any more than this, we're going to be entering equilibrium territory, as opposed to if the bulls, if that is our low of 656 and the bulls could change the hourly trend tomorrow, it does leave the possibility of continuation. It would still be pretty hard. We would need a solid 90 cents. So what's that? A lot. 12% plus to get back to that level. So equilibrium might already be the most likely scenario, but bulls need that higher low soon, and holding the daily exponential support would be ideal. TLRY, trying for this daily trend change to tell us the weekly higher low has been established. And if these bulls can break 44.44, and TLRY earnings are approaching, I believe, next week as well. But if we can break that level, then our weekly higher low is clearly established. And to change the weekly trend, like we've seen in CWeb, really one of the only MJ names to do it, 5103 has to break to change the weekly trend. That is all the bulls care about from August through September. Bullish reaction to earnings, and we'll be a lot closer to that resistance level. Bearish reaction, and that's going to be a stick in the mud for the hopes of the bulls to change the weekly trend. Not going to cover OGI because nothing's changed with it. Bulls aren't proving anything. It's just a weak chart at this point. Hexo, just this slow and steady little follow-through game. So bulls can't complain. They would like a nice solid green day like VFF had or like Labs has had. But as long as we're not losing the higher low pattern, bulls are keeping control. So 426 is now the most important support level. And we've got resistance of 460 followed by 470. And again, the more follow-through we get, the less likely a weekly bear flag is. It's still absolutely a possible weekly bear flag, And the closer we can get to $5, the better for trying to negate that. Daily exponential resistance becoming support for the first time. We still have one more level to get over, the 26 period. And a cross of those levels, like other names, would be notable if it could take place. CTST is worth watching. As I've said, a break is imminent in the short term for a break of this range with 196, the most important support, and 247, the most important resistance. We're going to see these exponential moving averages level out as the price is leveling out. And the question is, can the bulls shift the momentum to get a weekly bounce underway now that all the bad news to a certain degree is being priced in, multiple weekly inside bars, and if it breaks bullish, we will be looking for a move up towards $3. So I would like to see one more rejection first, although we were looking at this 4-hour equilibrium. Forgot about that, so let's draw that out again. We have our high, low, lower high, higher low, lower high, double bottom, so that is our higher low now. And bulls have to break 230 for a bull break of this 4-hour equilibrium. And actually, that's almost looking like our lower high now. So pretty much 210 to 226 is the most important range to me. And if we get the break, we need a volume spike and follow through. But I would say entirely possible we get that break tomorrow. If we hold 210 tomorrow, we could wait until Monday for that clear break. Tomorrow or Monday, watch for a break of this 4-hour equilibrium. T-God. Profit taking today after the higher open. Second, actually, that's our third gap up open in a row. So that's a 3 gap up bearish reversal pattern. Not surprising to see profit taking. Now we're going to look for a daily higher low to form. Bulls want to hold the daily exponential support and see that bull cross follow through. Anything above 282 is a higher low. And again, if we get uplistings on T-God, that's definitely been the most bullish news sector-wide recently, or I should say the past however many months, getting an uplisting and seeing bulls respond to that with some volume and some upward price action. So good sign for the bulls, breaking through all resistance levels short term. Keeping in mind, weekly time frame has a long way to go to change anything. And as long as we can keep the daily uptrend, bulls will be in control. So VFF, little higher low set at 1141. Declining bear volume on consolidation. Big spike in bull volume. We're now looking up at 1279. That broke. So 13 and 1386, and again, this weekly time frame is just creating a whole lot of space, and a reversal pattern, inverse head and shoulders, is what we've been watching on a lot of daily charts. This is potentially one on a weekly chart. If we can't break 1438, which I would be shocked if we could, and we top out on the weekly, we'll look for a weekly higher low, and then we'll look for a trend change to be looking back at all-time highs. And if we get a run-up in the sector in the fall, that's a possibility. So first things first, as long as the daily uptrend's intact, our weekly time frame has not topped out yet. Bulls have a ton of space to work with. Hourly did not consolidate today, so just be cautious. If we start with strength tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised to see hourly consolidation sooner rather than later, but we know an hourly higher low is very likely to form next consolidation we get, and a daily higher low is very likely to form next consolidation we get. Bulls in full control. This is the perfect back test and hold of exponential, previously exponential resistance, now support, and then follow through. So again, when I look at names like T-God, want to see the same thing. Even ACB and APHA want to see the same thing. Actually, not ACB, but APHA. Hold that exponential support to try and get some follow through. So labs, the tight range, hold, same thing. Exponential resistance becomes support, holding it, breakout. Now from here, we zoom out to the weekly time frame. We're looking back at the all-time high, 739. If we cannot break that level and we get some solid pullback from it, we'll be looking at a weekly equilibrium to play out. But bulls in full control. Anything above 550 is a daily higher low. Our hourly higher low of support is at 607. As long as 607 holds, bulls keep full control. IIPR, initially a bullish reaction to earnings, and then the bears took over. But I like this because it's such a clear resistance level, a double top right around 110. And again, just waiting for a break of this tightening range, watching to see if the bulls can pull off a higher low compared to 97.28. We know we're looking for a weekly higher low to form. And again, inverse head and shoulders pattern, left shoulder, head, right neckline. If we can hold that low and then break that double top at 110, our weekly higher low will be established. That's something I'm watching for. Curaleaf. So we did get that hourly oversold condition, just barely, but some dip buying there, and I was one of them. So I added a little bit to a Cura position. Again, smaller positions with swing trading, and less liquidity in these USMJ names than I would be taking during a day trading position. And just as a comparison, my Curaleaf position size right now is probably 25% of the day trade of Cron that I took today. So that just gives some perspective. Need to see an hourly trend change for our daily higher low to be established. And right now, to change that hourly trend, we would have to see 928 hold and a bull break of 954 tomorrow. And then we would be looking for a daily lower high into next week under 1080 to stay in this equilibrium. And we could stay in this equilibrium all through next week with how much space there is within this range. IAN, little bit of a higher open. Hourly time frame pulling back. We have to be cautious of a head and shoulders on the hourly. Support was 399 and we bounced off 396 today. So if we were to roll over and break 396, daily consolidation would clearly be underway, and it already is starting. Again, same thing. If bulls can hold this daily exponential support on the back test, that's a good sign for the potential of continuation on this momentum shift. Fall back under that level, we're still going to have little daily higher lows mixed in here, but it would be a bit more of a red flag. CWeb, looking at the 4-hour time frame, and I don't like it. So back to the daily. We've got our high, low. We're scouting a lower high, anything under 30.10. And if we see a bear break of 25.05 at this point, that loses the daily uptrend because we saw a bounce attempt and then further downside if that were to happen. So that would then have us zooming out and looking for weekly consolidation. So the goal for the bulls for the rest of the week is just hold. That's only one more day, but another few days is just hold 25.05 and wait for the exponential moving averages to catch up and try and make our way back up towards 30.10. OH and CL, I believe CL bought a license in New York. So let's go CL first because CL is seeing its first significant bounce off the daily. Certainly a laggard to a lot of USMJ names. I'm looking at the most important short-term resistance of 1120. Anything under 1120 is just a lower high on the daily. A nice strong close at the high of the day. Volume is pretty minimal, although you definitely want to get that one candlestick skewing things out of the way. Still no real bull volume, but certainly a big bull day. We'll see if we can get any follow through. Hourly time frame is overextended, so next time we consolidate, we'll look for an hourly higher low to form. But OH benefiting from that because of the pending deal where OH could get absorbed by CL. And looking for this 4-hour bull break. Here's our equilibrium. Low, high, higher low, lower high. Set a higher low at 713. Bull break of 755 and 758. Need follow through tomorrow. I want to see a break of 760 to say that's a clear follow through. The 4-hour bull mac or the 4-hour cross of the 12 and 26 period moving average for the first time in 4 months, just like IAN did and got follow through. So tomorrow's a big day. Get some more green. 783 is the next resistance on OH, and that would be a clear daily trend change if we can get over 758 more convincingly. Last, we'll wrap it up with TRUL. Again, big red flag. That volume is notable. Something's up. I don't know what it is. But to have the highest bear volume in over a month on no news, clear failed attempts to change the daily trend. And now the only support is the low of consolidation, 1177. So again, trimming my swing position on that inside bar, breaking bearish. Certainly a red flag today. And focusing on the names that are holding up and showing us more strength, keeping shares of those names and trimming shares of names that are not performing. So that's where we stand. Tomorrow, we'll see if we can get some follow through on a couple of these names that need it. OH is really the most important to get some kind of follow through here. And hope you all have a good rest of your day. We'll check in over the weekend. At the end of the video here, just some random clips, again, from 8 years ago, road trip. We got a sand dune in Idaho, and I forget what else. But I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day. Do good things.
Hey!
Hey, man, get out of here!